Good morning, everyone. When my children were young, they used to love playing the game Where's Wally? It's a puzzle where you have to find Wally hiding in a picture jam-packed with hundreds of tiny people and objects. It was very tricky, but they wouldn't give up. And when they did find him, they would scream out, "I found him! I found him!" And that's something of what it's like when we first find Jesus. We just want to shout it out loud. The first person who got up early to find Jesus was Mary Magdalene. She was last seen at a distance watching Jesus die on the cross. And now here she was, first at the tomb. It was still dark, but not dark enough for her to see that Jesus wasn't anywhere to be seen. The tombstone had been rolled away. Where's Jesus? So she rushed off to tell the others. Peter and the one known as the beloved disciple ran as fast as they could and looked inside the tomb. But all they could see was thick darkness. Jesus was nowhere to be seen. Where's Jesus? Jesus did leave a clue. Strips of linen and the cloth that had been wrapped around his head was all neatly folded, yet not enough to know where he had got to. So both disciples fled back to tell their friends that they didn't know where Jesus was. Where's Jesus? But Mary stayed. She wasn't going to give up, even though her eyes were bleary and her head was so weary. And yet her heart kept pounding, "Look for me, look for me," until she heard a voice say, "Mary, look at me, look at me." So Mary turned around and there's Jesus. She didn't quite scream out, "I found him, I found him," because in fact, she didn't find Jesus. Jesus found her. But it could be said that Mary is known as the first Christian. There's no doubt about it. Jesus was a good finder and a good hider. Sometimes we might think that Jesus is hiding from us, but really it's us hiding from him, afraid. Just like the disciples when they locked themselves in a room as if they were in lockdown. They were afraid of all the people who were against Jesus, but they were also afraid of Jesus, that he might be angry with them for deserting him. Instead, his first words to them were, "Peace be with you." As with Mary, it's Jesus who found them and forgave them. Jesus' first friends, they weren't ready-made Christians like a ready-made pizza. They had to work at it. If we asked them why they wanted to hang around with Jesus, they would have said something like, "Because he knew how to pull in a crowd. He was great with kids, never mind all the people he made well again. And he stood up for people who were put down a lot." But what was really weird was when he talked about dying on a cross and that he would come back again in person. Well, no one comes back alive after they've died. It was this that clinched it for them, because Jesus did rise from the dead. They saw him and touched him. From then on, they trusted Jesus to always be with them, no matter what. They were never the same again. After all, it's not every day when someone comes back from the dead. The news of Jesus rising from the dead is good. It doesn't get any better than this. With the Holy Spirit, the disciples continued to experience Jesus personally, and yet they didn't cling to him privately. Nothing and nobody could stop them talking about Jesus. So much so that today there are around 2.5 billion Christians all over the world. But let's not kid ourselves. It took blood, sweat, and tears to reach out to people. And yet it's up to all of us who call ourselves Christians to trust that this Holy Spirit also gives us courage to share the good news of Jesus. And what better time to do so than during this pandemic, when many are asking, where's Jesus? To encounter Jesus is to look for him not just within ourselves, but also in people, things, and situations where we might not think he will be. When my sons grew wiser to finding where Wally might be in a picture, they looked at the less obvious places, and for sure they would find him. And so it is with Jesus. He might not be where you think, but he's somewhere closer than we know. All we need to do is to open our eyes and see.